Namari bookmark. That's better. Thank you very much. We will not deny the urgency of this moment. We will not kick the can down the road. We will not abandon substance for symbolism or retreat to platitudes at the expense of progress. Today, I reaffirm my government's solemn promise to implement the Uluru Statement from the Heart in full. The Uluru Statement from the Heart holds for every Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander child. As it says so memorably, when we have power over our destiny, our children will flourish. They will walk in two worlds and their culture will be a gift to their country. The Uluru Statement is a hand outstretched, a moving show of faith in Australian decency and Australian fairness from people who have been given every reason to forsake their hope in both. I am determined, as a government, as a country, that we grasp that hand of healing. We repay that faith. We rise to the moment. To work with you in lifting the words off the page and lifting our whole nation up. To work with a new spirit of partnership between government and First Nations people through the work of Makarrata, treaty making and truth-telling, and by enshrining a voice to Parliament in our Constitution. The genius of the Uluru Statement from the Heart and all the elders and leaders and Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who poured their hopes and aspirations and effort and goodwill into it is that it doesn't just articulate the noble goal of a better future. It offers Australia the practical means and the path to achieve it. My government supports the Uluru Statement from the Heart and its call for an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice in our Constitution, which is what the coming referendum is about. A vehicle for real and practical progress. A committee of Indigenous Australians, chosen by Indigenous Australians, to work for Indigenous Australians in every part of our nation. The regions and remote communities, big cities and the Torres Strait Islands, giving Parliament and government the advice to drive better results in health, education, employment and housing. That's what the voice is about. Advice. We are seeking a momentous change, but it is also a very simple one. It's not a matter of special treatment or preferential power. It's about consulting Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples on the decisions that affect you. Nothing more, but nothing less. This is simple courtesy. It is common decency. I would like us to present the Australian people with the clearest possible referendum question. We should consider asking our fellow Australians something as simple, but something as clear as this. Do you support an alteration to the Constitution that establishes an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander voice? A straightforward proposition, a simple principle, a question from the heart. In imagining all of this, Australians will have asked themselves, but what can I do about it? Intergenerational disadvantage. What can I do about it? What difference can I make? Well, this year, there is a simple answer. Yes. We can vote yes. There may well be misinformation and fear campaigns to counter, but perhaps the greatest threat to the cause is indifference. There are some in the no camp, including the leader of the Federal Liberal Party, who say they support constitutional recognition but only a legislative voice. I say this, Not only does this mean rejecting the form of recognition that Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have requested, a form of recognition designed through more than a decade-long process of consultation, the majority of which occurred under the coalition government. Their commitment to legislative voice also undermines every other argument that they make against it. Clearly, they acknowledge that a voice is needed, otherwise why legislate it? Clearly, they recognise it will make a positive difference, otherwise why legislate it? Clearly, they don't see it as divisive or radical or any of the other noise and confusion they are seeking to inject into this referendum. Otherwise, why legislate it? The only difference that all of this confected outrage is about is whether it be enshrined in the Constitution or whether, after all of this struggle going back to 1788, it can be dismissed with the stroke of a pen by a future government. That is what this referendum is about. You've been the spark and carried the fire to every corner of this vast country. And I believe Australians, as fair-minded people, recognise that if we want to share in the riches of 60,000 years of history and tradition, then we also share in the responsibility for helping First Nations people build and own a better future. Because we are all diminished, all of us, when First Nations people are denied their right to a happy and fulfilling life, denied the chance to play a full part in the life of our great country. 1 year ago, when I confirmed that my government would fulfil our election commitment to hold a referendum for constitutional recognition this year, Yunupingu asked me, just over there, I will never forget it, someone who'd shown such remarkable leadership, but the truth is had been let down from time to time, but who'd shown his resilience. He said to me, "Are you serious?" And I said to him, "Yes, we're going to do it." And in our last conversation, on the very day that I stood alongside the referendum working group earlier this year to announce the very clear proposition that every Australian will be voting on, he told me, "You spoke truth."